Coming to you from the TheEonProject studios, overlooking the vast, pristine acreage of Primrose Village. Greetings from this hidden gem of the Blackstone Valley. You're listening to Experts of Nothing, Mike and Jay. Oh, what a treat this is, eh?
Yay!
2 shows
In a short
in
amount
a
of time.
short period of time.
It's like we were just here.
Oh my God! Is that what's gonna happen? It's gonna be a
that.
small hiatus, a short one.
Short hiatus. So you get 2 shots of awesomeness, followed by a slight period of non-awesomeness.
Yeah, we've had some good feedback recently, and
Yeah.
I think we're moving up in the world.
We are?
Yeah, we're ranked 727,000th on the podcast site.
There's a lot of podcasts out there, man. There's podcasts.
There are.
Everybody has one because they're somewhat easy to start. But very few have the cachet and the suaveness of ours.
Yeah.
Is that a word, suaveness?
You know what I don't get either?
No.
Maybe I'm just I'm just partial to our program. But I feel like there's a lot of garbage out there.
There's a lot of garbage.
And but yet they have they have a lot bigger following than we do.
They sure do.
I don't understand it.
I don't know.
They must be paying people.
Maybe we should institute prima nocta. You know what that is?
No, what?
First night, we shall be allowed to lay with any podcaster as we choose.
Oh.
And by therefore, we will breed our way to victory.
Okay. Will we get pictures and stuff? How do we choose these people?
Well, welcome to another edition of the TheEonProject, where we are today discussing
We're talking about scary movies.
scary movies, not necessarily horror movies.
No.
But scary movies throughout our young lives.
So Mike and I each compiled a list of some scary movies.
A number of them.
And for me, I don't know how Mike approached his list.
Yeah.
But I approached mine in the sense of putting myself back into the shoes
Yes.
of a youth, of
Yes.
a youngster. And because some of these movies I haven't seen since I was a kid.
Right. Well,
and they
yeah.
frightened the pants off me.
Yeah.
So it's a top 10 list for me.
Well, what we
of
do
my worst, scariest horror movies of all time.
What we're going to do is we're going to discuss some, like I said, some scary movies from our past and from the present day, too. Tell you a little bit about the movie. You've probably seen a lot of them. Maybe some of them you haven't. And the purpose is just to say, a lot of these things form our fear system, if you will, for the rest of your life.
Sure.
Because some things scare you as a youth. They continue to scare you, even if they don't make a whole lot of sense as you go forward in life.
And you know what I've discovered, too, while researching the program?
You researched this program?
Well, I got a little more information on some of these obscure movies that I haven't. Some of them are obscure, some not so much. But I want to refresh my memory on some of these, and I realized they're quite dumb. A lot of them, and they don't have quite the same scare factor as they did when I watched them as a kid. I have such a different perspective now.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And then for our halftime show, we're gonna play Celebrity Live or Dead. I will submit a list of famous people, and Jay will have to determine whether they are alive or have passed on.
And once again, Mike is going to try to make me look stupid.
No, I picked normal people.
And maybe for extra credit, I can give a little information on each one if I know that.
That's a good idea. But before we begin the topic today, I had to bring up something. So on the way over here today, I arrived at the palatial TheEonProject studios prior to Jay today. And so thusly I was locked out as security.
I found him peeking in the windows
would not allow me
around the
in.
back when I got here.
But while I was sitting in the overlooking the vast, pristine acreage of Primrose Village, I noticed a strange noise, and I couldn't tell where it was coming from. Finally, I was able to, how like if you hear a noise multiple times, you can kind of zero in on it?
Yeah.
You can kind of use your radar.
You focus in on it, yeah.
I zeroed in on it, and I noticed that there was a woodpecker, I believe, way up high in a tree.
Oh.
Now I ask you, because you know a lot about weird stuff, and I don't know. Does a woodpecker eat the wood?
No.
What is it doing? Why is it making that noise?
It's creating a hole.
Oh.
It's creating a hole in the tree.
Why does it do that? Does it try to live in the hole?
It does live in the hole. That's where it creates its little nest. It goes in there, creates a little nest in there, and it has its little babies, little baby birds.
It must have a very hard nose.
It does. It pecks away and pecks away.
So it just keeps making a little hole. I thought it had something to do with the digestive system of the bird.
No, because if you look in the vicinity of the ground, where the trunk of the tree would be, you would see bits of sawdust, if you will.
Oh,
yeah,
nature's carpenter.
That's right.
Anyway,
yeah. So
well, thanks for clearing that up.
That's I try to do that.
That's it for today, folks. See you later.
See ya, bye. No, it's funny that you mentioned that because on my way over here. The reason I was a few minutes late is because I got stuck behind a school bus. Oh. And now I don't want to offend anybody out there, because we put our stuff out there for people of all classes, of all occupations,
all classes,
things of that sort. Okay.
Even the downtrodden.
But I have to say, school bus drivers are some of the most inconsiderate drivers in the history of the world. Now, don't get me wrong. They have precious cargo.
They do.
I will give them that.
Yes.
But why is it, especially in the rush hour times, when everybody's trying to get to work and rushing around, the school bus meanders its way down the roadway,
Oh, yeah.
stopping every 10 feet, letting off one child at a time.
Well, because, they don't do bus stops anymore.
No,
when
they
we
don't.
were kids, they would
don't.
have a gathering point for
Sure.
everyone in the neighborhood.
That's right.
And they would stop once.
Yep.
But now they stop. No, kids can't be asked to walk
No.
more than 10 feet to their bus.
I play a little game now. So the school bus drops a kid off, and I go, watch this, it's going to stop another 10 feet. Sure enough, it does.
And each time you get angrier and angrier.
But my point is this. Everyone has places to go and, places
We've
to go.
all got places to go.
And we know that when the school bus puts its red lights out, you have to stop, obviously, for safety purposes.
And it's the law.
The school bus driver is unaware of his surroundings, apparently. Has a line of 1,000 cars miles long behind him.
Yep.
Now, pulls over to the side, stops, lets the kid out. You think that they could just, or puts the kid on. You think they could stop for 5 minutes and let a number of the cars go by so they could go.
Oh, you mean turn the lights off and allow people to go
Just
by?
put like its blinker on, like it's off to the side, and let a bunch of cars go by.
No, they don't do that.
They don't. They just continue to saunter down the roadway.
Sometimes they have conversations with people, too.
They do.
Like a mother will come out and start jaw-jacking
Yes.
with the person and the bus driver, and then you're like, really? What's happening here?
One time, and not to go too far off the rails here.
Too late.
So one time I was behind a bus that was stopped. It was off to the side. It had its yellow lights on, which by
you
law
can still go.
you can go around it.
Right.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it the courtesy because maybe it's going to put the red lights on. So the yellow lights were going and going and going. It didn't put the red lights on. I said, I gotta get around this bus. So I went around it. Oh my God! Her arms came out the window. She was flailing about. I was like, okay.
And what did you do?
Well, I went down the road. I did my little errand, and when I turned around and came back, there was a man who lived in one of the houses standing in the middle of the road, and he flagged me down.
What?
And he began to berate me.
Are you serious?
For passing the school bus.
Why did you stop for some guy waving his arms?
He got in front of my vehicle. I didn't want to run him over.
Oh, you should have killed him.
So I stopped, and we began yelling at each other, and I said, you're an idiot. I said, the school bus driver didn't have its red lights on.
I can't believe that somebody would flag you down.
Yep.
What kind of errand was it? Do you remember? Not that
I was dropping off something.
that is not germane to the story, but I just like to know stuff.
Yep.
I'm very nosy.
I was making a drop.
Well, I am sorry that you had that experience.
That's right. I'm going to make a horror movie about it.
Speaking of horror movies,
Yes.
speaking of scary movies, we're gonna go back. We're gonna start talking about some. I don't know what your list contains. My list contains some old movies, some new movies, a couple in between. And as we said at the outset of the show, this is not about horror movies. This is about scary movies. Some movies that are really scary wouldn't be classified as horror movies just because of what they contain. So, do you know what horror actually is?
Well, for some people, it's different. For me, horror is sitting here looking across at you. But
That could be horrible.
you may have a different definition.
Actually, the definition is an intense feeling of fear, shock, or disgust. Which, that's the definition. I actually have worked in the haunted house industry for many years. Well,
You've said that before.
and believe it or not, and I've actually attended classes about scaring.
Oh.
Like scare classes.
You get all dressed up?
No.
No?
And it's more about the design of haunted houses. So,
Okay.
I know some people who listen to this program may be into haunted houses.
Yeah.
And there's actually a science that goes into it. And there's different types of scares. There's horror scares, which is, like I said, abject feeling of horror. There's like a disgust type
Like
of
a gruesome
scare,
kind
which
of
would be
thing.
gruesome.
Yeah.
And then there's shocking type. So there's like a lot of different ways. And when they're constructing the haunted house, they take into account the different types of scares because there's certain things scare other people. Like some people are scared of bugs, and some people are absolutely not scared of bugs.
So a good haunted house would have a variety of scares.
Yeah, because they want to be able to get everybody. If every time you walked around a corner, somebody jumped out at you, you would
right.
start to know, hey, as soon as I walk around this corner, somebody's going to jump out. So they don't do that. They do misdirections and all sorts of stuff.
And I believe it is true that people do soil themselves in some of these places.
They do. I've actually witnessed and been the cause of people maybe not pooing, but I have had people urinate on themselves because of me, and not just in haunted houses.
Did they urinate on you?
That's a story for another day.
Oh.
So why don't you go first, Jay? Why don't we delve into the memory banks of Jason?
All right, so these are not in any chronological order, but
Mine are in order.
They do come in. No. You didn't let me finish. They're in alphabetical order.
Oh.
Because as I put them together, I just put them in alphabetically. So
Okay.
going back to my youth, a youngster, maybe 8 or 10 years old, and I don't even know why I was even allowed to watch this movie.
Well, can I say something before you
Yes.
begin? A lot of the movies on my list also happened when I was a child, and we were allowed to watch lots of stuff we probably shouldn't have been,
That's right.
able to watch. Because nowadays, I wouldn't let my kids watch.
You know, when I used to watch movies with my dad, and sometimes they were not the best movies for a youngster. And we had an old Zenith TV, right?
Oh, the big Zenith.
So I had to move. So this is what my dad would do. Like if there was a movie playing and like say some gratuitous lovemaking came on or something, and some
there's always lovemaking in these movies.
some naked ladies. He'd make me turn my head and hide my head, turn my head around and hide my head in the couch, the sofa, right?
You could hear the noises.
So I would hear the noises, so I knew it was coming. So I took the remote control, and it was an old style. It looked like a shoebox.
Oh, the big box
That's
ones.
how big it was.
Yes.
And on one end of it, where you put the batteries in, it was like it had a mirrored surface.
Oh.
It was like a mini mirror. So I would position it perfectly so I could see through
Wow.
the reflection of the remote and
Ingenious.
see the boobs.
That's ingenious.
Yeah.
Man. Anyway.
Yep. So anyway, this movie was the original A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
And a little fact about some couple quick facts about the movie.
Sure.
It was directed by Wes Craven, which many may have heard of before.
I don't think that's his real name.
It is absolutely.
Craven is his last
Yes.
name?
Yes.
Okay.
It is, man.
You know what that means? They use it a lot in Game of Thrones. It means like coward.
A Craven.
You're Craven.
I hadn't heard
I'm
that.
Jon Snow and you're Craven, along with my brothers.
Anyway, it came out in the great year of 1984,
That was a good year.
which the early 80s. Nothing beat the early 80s, I don't think.
No.
And a couple of the stars of the movie were Robert Englund, obviously, who played Freddy Krueger. Johnny Depp, a young Johnny Depp, was in that.
Johnny Depp.
And he got killed early on in the film.
Oh! You giving away spoilers?
Who hasn't seen A Nightmare on Elm
Some
Street?
people might not have seen it.
All right, no spoilers then. Okay. And the wonderful and lovely, beautiful, which I had a crush on back then, Heather Langenkamp.
Anyone named Heather in the 1980s was hot.
Oh, man.
Heather Locklear, Heather Langenkamp.
Here's a question for you. What did Heather Langenkamp go on to do after A Nightmare on Elm Street? Do you remember?
No idea.
She was in an 80s sitcom called Just the 10 of Us. And where they had a large family with a bald patriarch, and it was a comedy.
Oh, no, I don't remember that one.
That was pretty good.
Oh.
So what do you remember about the film? Do you remember, did it scare you?
You know what? I never was really afraid of the Nightmare on Elm Street
Really?
movies. No, I just didn't. I don't know. It's just something about the character of Freddy didn't really scare me.
No, I used to sit there and, we'd watch the movie, and I couldn't look. I couldn't watch.
Yeah.
The Freddy Krueger, obviously he was grotesque in nature. Mm-hmm. And just the premise of the movie where he would enter your dreams.
Yeah.
Because you think when you're sleeping, all is quiet, and you got nothing to fear, but he'd come to you in your dreams, and he'd try to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say about Nightmare on Elm Street?
No. You want me to give you a whole synopsis of the movie or what?
Well, no, I didn't know if we were going to tell. I thought we were going to give a little synopsis of the movie.
Yeah.
Just
I will.
and then say why it's scary.
So obviously you guys remember the movie starts out with the little girl who's in the boiler room, and she's attacked by the disfigured man wearing the blade glove. The glove that had the knives on it.
Well, he's not disfigured at this point, right?
No. In the movie, at the very beginning, he is.
Okay.
Yeah, he comes out and he attacks her, and obviously she awakens from this nightmare, but unfortunately, she realizes that she has slashes in her nightgown. So clearly, the dream has become reality, and from there, the horror and the attacks of the crazed dream warrior or dream murderer Freddy Krueger attacks a group of youths over and over again until the final battle occurs, and in which Nancy prevails. However, they realize that Freddy Krueger is still alive, and it continues on. Of course, they made subsequent sequels after that. So there you go.
Did you know that the premise of Nightmare on Elm Street was actually based on a real case?
No.
You didn't know that, did you?
No.
So this was back in, I think it was in 60s or 70s, probably 60s. There was a group of immigrants to the United States from it was a Southeast Asian country. I don't remember which one it was, but for some reason there was a preponderance of deaths in this group of men who had immigrated from this area, and supposedly they were dying in their sleep, and no one could figure out why.
Yeah,
and there was some sort of speculation that they were having some sort of very realistic dream that was in fact killing them, and so that's how the story kind of got out from
Gotcha.
there. Pretty interesting.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, this is one that you may or may not have heard of. Ready?
Okay.
This is from 1983.
Oh.
Called The House of the Long Shadows.
Oh,
have you heard of this?
I've never heard of this.
Okay. This is one I thought it was terrifying as a child, and it's all because of...
And you saw this as a child?
Yeah.
Okay.
1983, yeah, so I was a young child. It was terrifying to me because of a few, but now that I look back at them, bad special effects. If you look at it now, you're probably like...
Yeah, you're like,
whatever.
oh, that wasn't so good.
This is an otherwise notable film because it stars a bunch of really famous horror actors from back in the day. Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing and John Carradine.
Okay.
The premise is, ready for the premise?
Peter Cushing, wasn't he in Star Wars? Was that?
Yeah, no, he played Grand Moff Tarkin.
That's right. Yeah.
He was also in some vampire movies.
Okay.
Peter Cushing was. So the premise is that there's a writer who he makes a bet that he's going to write a great horror novel in 24 hours. So he's going to write a novel within 24 hours. And to do so, he goes to a spooky old house because he wants to be inspired.
Yep.
Sounds spooky already. He encounters a bunch of weird, creepy people in the house who have been keeping their deranged and homicidal brother locked up for the past 40 years inside the house. Because he's nuts. All sorts of grisly murders take place, of course, because it's a horror movie. Then it's discovered that the crazy dude has escaped.
Yeah.
The thing that scared me the most, right, was a guy gets killed with an axe, which is scary enough, right? I think it's Vincent Price, actually, that gets killed with the axe. But when they show it, you can see blood and hair attached to the axe.
Oh, yeah.
Because he got hit in it. And it was really, to me, for some reason, just looking at that, it set me over the edge. Looking at that was disgusting. I won't give away the ending.
Okay.
But I saw some clips of it recently, and it's not as good as I remember.
Yeah, no, that's a theme that runs through all these movies.
Yeah, you see it now, and you're like, whatever.
So we're a lot of quick hits here. So I'm going right into the next one. So as I said, alphabetically speaking, the next one I'm going to talk about is a movie called Alligator. I don't know if you remember this or not.
Let me guess. It's about alligators.
And it was directed by the great Louis Teague. And one of the themes you're going to see is some of these directors are, they do a lot of the same movies in my list, as well as, there's a lot of Stephen King, movies in my list as well. So,
right.
But anyway, so Alligator came out in 1980, and it's starring absolutely no one. No one you've ever heard of was in this movie.
Joe from down the block.
That's right. And the premise is a teenage girl purchases a baby alligator while on vacation with the family in Florida.
Oh, of course. There's lots of alligators in
So,
Florida.
of course, they go home. They take the little baby alligator back to Chicago with her. And so the girl ends up flushing the baby alligator down the toilet for whatever reason, right? Fast forward 12 years later, the alligator has survived by feeding on covertly discarded pet carcasses. So it's been living in the sewer, eating refuse, eating other dead animals.
That's an old urban legend, isn't it, about the alligator that's living in the sewers?
That's correct. Yes.
I wonder if it was stemmed as a result of this movie.
But apparently, some of the little creatures that it had been eating were part of a scientific experiment that they had like growth hormones shot into them or whatever, so they had these side effects.
Okay.
And so one of the things that happened to this alligator, it grew into a 36-foot long monster.
Okay.
A 36-foot long alligator, and began ambushing and devouring people by the sewer, and it was just basically wreaking havoc all over the city of Chicago.
Let me ask you a question, an anthropological question.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure if that's the right word. Zoological question.
Okay.
Do alligators eat people? Like they do, right?
It's happened.
No, I know that it's happened, but you know how like sharks don't supposedly like the taste of people? They eat you by accident because they think you're a seal.
Well, you're in. Yeah. Well,
I wonder if like alligators are the same thing.
No,
like,
it happens all the time, man.
You just happen to be standing around. Well, no, there was that kid that was killed at Disney World a couple years ago.
That's right. He went down. He was close to the water, and the thing came out and ambushed him.
And did you hear that the dad jumped in and tried to get it?
That's right.
Tried to wrestle with it or whatever.
That's right. But anyway. So they're trying to hunt this alligator down. They finally corner it in the sewer, and they load the sewer with explosives. And they
yes, because that's the most effective way to kill something.
And they blew it to smithereens.
I see.
That's right. But at the end, you see another baby alligator gets spit out of the sewer, and the process repeats
They left
itself.
it open
That's
for
right.
a sequel.
That's right. And there's been no Alligator 2.
All good scary movies do that. They leave it open for a sequel.
What do you got next?
Here's one that you've probably never heard of. 1982.
Oh, another 80s.
A movie called Brainwaves.
I've heard of it.
Not sure about the plot on this one because I really don't remember, but it has something to do with a transplant of one brain for another. And then the person who's the recipient of the brain starts having these hallucinations and dreams and whatnots of other people dying.
Yep.
And the reason that I find it scary, and I always thought it was as a child, was because in a certain scene there's a comely young lady who is enjoying a blissful bath.
Did you say comely?
Yes. Oh. She's enjoying a bath.
Yeah.
Some dude comes in and throws a plugged-in toaster into the bathtub.
Yes.
And it violently electrocutes her, like, horribly.
I think that would happen.
So, from that point on, I was terrified to be in a bathtub because someone would come in and throw a toaster in there.
That's right.
So, but this is not a joke. When I used to take baths as a kid, you know how you have little G.I. Joes and your toys and stuff in the bathtub? I was always afraid that when people were walking by, they were gonna either accidentally or on purpose, because my brother and sister didn't like me very much. We're gonna throw a toaster into
They still don't.
No. They would throw some sort of electrical appliance in and kill me.
Would have been bad.
So anyway, I'm still afraid of that.
That was what? What was that called again?
Brainwaves.
Brainwaves.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going into my next one. It's a movie called Burnt Offerings.
Oh, I'm familiar with Burnt Offerings.
This movie was directed by Dan Curtis and came out in a great year, 1976.
Ooh.
And this is another one of those movies that as I look back on it, as a kid, I was like, wow, that was frightening. The acting was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was very scary. But now you look on it and you're like, this is stupid. But anyway, that was starring, well, I shouldn't say starring, but Betty Davis was in the movie. And,
Betty Davis?
And Burgess Meredith was also...
Mickey.
Had a small part
from
in the film.
Rocky.
That's right. So basically, the quick synopsis is the Rolfe family. They take a long summer vacation in a large neoclassical 19th century mansion in the countryside, right? So there's a number of people in the family. And one of the odd requirements for the rental is that apparently there's an old woman that lives upstairs.
Old woman who lives in a shoe.
That they have to take care of as one of the requirements to rent the house, which, of course, continuing on from that point, she doesn't, nobody ever sees the lady. Nobody ever, you can't really, you're not supposed to interact with her. And a bunch of strange happenings occur, almost like it's a haunted house.
Right.
People are getting hurt, and there's strange things going on. And eventually it ends up with the family being attacked and killed at the end. They're all dead.
You know what's notable about that movie? My wife is petrified of that movie to this day, because apparently in the film, and I've actually seen it fairly recently, there's a chauffeur guy, and he's got these sunglasses on, and he smiles creepily.
Yes.
That supposedly
right.
terrified my wife, and she's still afraid of it.
Yes, it's very terrifying.
To this
I've
day.
seen a picture of the guy. He's pretty scary.
Well, good acting on his part.
All right, what do you
We're
got?
moving on. Here's one that you guys you would not think of as a scary movie, and well, maybe you would, but most people would not. 1986's classic Cobra, starring Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, that was creepy. A creepy action film.
Yeah, well, technically not a horror movie. It used to scare the crap out of me as a child. The basic premise is there's a gang of satanic serial killers.
That's right.
That seemingly kill at random and in gruesome ways.
Like axes and stuff.
Yeah. So what scared me the most, okay, this is probably not what scared you the most. At the beginning of the movie, Cobra, which is Sylvester Stallone, that's his cool nickname.
Yeah.
Cobra.
Yep.
He has a Colt 45, I think, in that movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. He had an MP5. I know that. With a
Yes,
laser on it.
on
A
the
giant
front, but
laser sight.
His weapon, his sidearm is a 45.
It didn't have
1911.
Cobra grips
It
on
did
it?
have a Cobra grip.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Cobra gets called. He's a cop. He gets called into a grocery store that has been overtaken by a crazed gunman. Eventually, after saying a bunch of cool hero words, like when the guy says, "I'll kill all these people and I'll blow this place up," Cobra goes, "Go ahead, I don't shop here," which I thought was a great line.
That is a great line. He had a little matchstick in his mouth, too.
He did. Anyway, so he kills that guy. He's the guy that's taking over the grocery store. He kills him, but it's all bloody. Like you can see the grossness and it scared me. That part scared me. And then also, the satanic guys wear pantyhose on their heads, and it freaks me the hell out. And now I don't like putting pantyhose on my head, even when my wife asked me to.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that.
You know, the main villain in that movie was especially creepy.
Yeah, he looked like a mongoloid.
He had like a chiseled face.
He was a caveman.
Yeah, he had like a furrowed brow. Especially when he put the pantyhose on his head and he attacked that girl in the hospital. I didn't like that.
You know who's in that movie too?
Yes,
Brigitte
Nielsen. That's right. She looked really good in that movie.
That was probably her best looking movie.
That was when her and Stallone got together.
Yep, that's right.
They were an item. All right, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So this next one's a little bit different. And the reason I say that is because I've never actually seen this movie. Because I had heard so much about it when I was a kid. It was so scary that I couldn't watch it. So maybe I'll watch it soon. So it's a movie called Children of the Corn.
Oh, Children of the Corn.
And the kids in school used to talk about it all the time.
Oh, yes.
In the lunchroom. And it was so scary to me what they were saying, I couldn't bear to watch it.
Okay.
So that was directed by the great Fritz Kirch.
Oh, Fritz.
And that came out in 1984.
This movie's on the Fritz.
And it starred, one of the stars, the only one I could find, was Linda Hamilton. Do you remember Linda?
I do, from Terminator.
That's right. So I'll just give you a quick synopsis. I'm going to read it because I've never seen the movie.
Okay.
So the film is set in the fictional town of Gatlin, Nebraska, an agricultural community surrounded by mass cornfields. When the crop fails one year, the townsfolk turn to prayer to ensure a successful harvest. However, 12-year-old Isaac Kroner takes all the children into Gatlin into the cornfields and indoctrinates them into the religious cult based around a bloodthirsty deity called He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Isaac and his subordinate Malachi lead the children in a revolution, murdering all of the adults in town as human sacrifices.
Yeah.
Only 2 children refuse to participate, Job and his sister
That
Sarah,
part's gross.
who can see visions of the future, drawing them on paper. So as you can see,
Yeah, that's nasty.
it's basically a bunch of crazed...
Isn't that Stephen King? It's a Stephen King book.
I don't know. I didn't see that. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, as you can see, it goes downhill from there, and a bunch of people are killed.
So you've never seen it?
No.
The part where the children uprising and kill all the adults
Yes.
is actually very disturbing.
Is it?
Yes.
Isn't there like a sickle? Like
There's a sickle. Yes. It's a scythe.
Scythe, right? A scythe,
Yes.
yeah.
A scythe.
Oh man, yeah. So
Try to spell scythe.
that was so scary to me as a youth. I never saw it.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Well, moving on. This next one is going to be very familiar to you, Jason.
Oh.
Because we have actually share a personal connection with this movie. Mostly because we watched it as youths together when we were very young.
Very young.
1989.
Experimenting with things.
1989.
Yes.
Shocker.
Oh, shocker. Yes.
Starring a young but still bald Mitch Pileggi from X-Files fame. So the premise is of Shocker, if you haven't seen it. It is not a sexual move, which is a different movie.
That is a different move altogether, yeah.
So the premise is a serial killer who's going around murdering folk. He's captured and he's executed by the electric chair. However, before he gets it, he makes a deal with some sort of electrical TV devil thing.
Yes.
And the execution doesn't work, and he gets turned into pure electricity, so he can travel through wires and whatnots.
You wonder who thought of that premise was like, oh, this is a great idea for a scary
really
movie.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb.
But what's scary for me is the scene where he gets electrocuted. It's loud and scary. And then also, the dude limps real bad.
Yeah.
The serial killer guy. So whenever I would see people limping, I would think that it was the Shocker guy coming to get me. Because, he turns into different people,
That's
I think,
right.
throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And so you don't know which one he's going to be. Shocker. And also there's a hot chick in it who gets killed, and I don't remember her name.
But you liked her.
Yeah, I had a little crush on her in 1989. I think we're...
I'm going to do one more, and then we'll get into the bit.
Okay.
All right. So this next one is definitely a Stephen King novel originally. And it's a movie called Christine.
Oh, yes.
And it was directed by the great John Carpenter, who has a number of a few movies in my list.
Yeah.
And that came out in 1983, another 83 movie. And the only one I find in the movie that a star that I heard of, the name was familiar to me, was Alexandra Paul.
I don't know who that
is. Of Baywatch fame.
Oh, Baywatch.
She was the older, short-haired lady on Baywatch,
yes.
remember?
Yes.
She had kind of a butchy hairdo.
Yes.
Can you say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
All right. So, the synopsis, basically, in Detroit, Michigan, September 1957.
Is it Detroit or Detroit?
It's Detroit, baby.
Dr. Detroit.
At a Chrysler Corporation assembly plant, a man is found dead in a newly assembled 1958 Plymouth Fury.
Ooh.
So this is one of these movies that frightened me a lot as a kid, and I watched it alone one time. I don't know how I did that. I was so petrified I couldn't even get out of the chair and change the channel.
They used to have movies on all the time that were probably not the best for people.
Yeah. So fast forward many years later, a young, awkward, unpopular teen named Arnie Cunningham. He basically buys the car. He gets the car, this possessed vehicle, right? And he begins to change. He suddenly, first he becomes more popular because he has a really nice car.
Yes.
And then he falls in love with the car, and he becomes angry, and the car has this negative effect on him, and it's killing people, and the car actually becomes very protective of Arnie.
So it's it's a sentient car.
That's correct. It's possessed.
Yes.
And so Arnie, and eventually Arnie comes to, and he realizes, wow, this is not good. And of course, he tries to find ways to destroy the vehicle, which he does eventually. It ends up in a car crusher.
Oh.
But one of the final scenes, you see one of the parts of the vehicle come alive and start moving around.
Yeah.
So
did they ever explain why the car was cursed?
No, they never really do. I don't
think. Or why it was possessed?
No, it was possessed from the beginning.
There's actually a number of real life examples of cursed vehicles. One in particular is the very famous James Dean, who died a young man after completing only, I think, 3 movies. He was in 3
That's right.
full-length movies. But he was one of the biggest stars of his day. He was killed in and I don't remember the exact, it was like a spider.
Was it a spider or was it a...
I think it was a spider.
Was it a cobra?
No, it was a spider. Anyway, the thing killed, he died in a car wreck, and supposedly the car was cursed because after that day, the car was parted out, because it was totaled in the accident. The car was parted out, and many of the parts went to other owners, and tragedy befell everybody that got pieces of this car.
Right.
Supposedly, including one of the guys was taking the hulk of the car off a truck, and it fell and it killed him.
Okay.
And bad luck pursued everyone that had it.
Apparently, it was a Porsche. I'm looking at it right now.
It's a Porsche Spider.
Oh, I never heard of a Porsche Spider.
They probably don't make it anymore.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway.
Do you want to do the? Do you want to make me look stupid again?
We are on the halfway point of the show.
Dun, dun, dun.
And today, per listener request, another listener request we like to fulfill.
I'll tell you what, whoever these listeners are, they're great. They're smart.
They come up with good stuff.
They're intelligent.
And now's a good time to give out the our website. It still doesn't work because it's terrible, so we took it down. But you can still contact us at TheEonProject at yahoo.com. That's TheEonProject at yahoo.com.
Yep.
Send us some suggestions. Send us your scary movies. What scared you as a child or as an adult, and tell us why it was scary, and we'll read it on the air.
You know what I realized before we get into the bit quickly?
Yeah.
Is that movies now are not scary. Nothing is. I don't know if it's because I'm an adult now, but I think they're all dumb.
Actually,
they're
not true.
They're
I'm
all
going to
the
get into
same.
that in a little bit.
But anyway, yeah, we'll talk more about that later.
So we're going to play Celebrity Live or Dead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the name of a celebrity.
Yep.
And Jason is going to tell me whether this person is still alive or has passed on. Some of these are you should know everybody.
Okay.
But you might not know whether they're alive or dead.
All right, let's try it.
Here we
Let's
go.
see what we can
Number
do
one.
here.
Jim Nabors of Gomer Pyle.
Jim Nabors of Gomer Pyle fame. He was quite the Broadway show tune singer.
Also
the guy
a great singer. Yeah.
The guy had a great voice. He is dead. He just recently passed, actually.
That's correct. He died in 2017.
Yes, that's right.
Why don't you do me a favor? Give a little bit of a pause, even if you might know it right away,
Yep.
because I want to give the people at home a chance to play as well.
Very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're right on that one. Are we going to keep score or no?
Nah, keep going.
The great Kirk Douglas of Spartacus fame.
That's right. Kirk Douglas, one of the greatest actors of all time. Of course, he's famous for being the father of Michael Douglas as well.
Correct.
He's been in many movies. He was in the Ten Commandments.
That's right.
Oh no, wait, sorry, that was Charlton Heston.
That was Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston. My bad.
Kirk Douglas.
But Kirk Douglas is still alive. He is still alive, and he's old as dirt.
He is. He's 101 years
And
old.
they dragged him out recently for some stupid event, and he looked like a walking corpse. Poor guy.
He's 101.
Yep.
He's probably just counting the days down at this point.
Go ahead. All right.
Here's one for you I know you know the guy. Chris Penn, who played Nice Guy Eddie in the Reservoir Dogs movie.
He did play. He's the older brother of Sean Penn, younger brother of Sean Penn. He was in a number of movies. He was actually in Footloose as well. He played Kevin Bacon's buddy in Footloose.
Correct. Yep.
And Chris Penn unfortunately died a few years ago. I believe his heart exploded.
Well, it was 2006. So it was 12 years ago.
Okay. Yep.
He did die of a heart attack.
Ah, yes.
So wow, you're 3 for 3.
Yeah, I'm doing good
Look at
today.
You're going. Okay. Here's one that you're not going to know. I hope. Richard Sanders, the guy that played Les Nessman on WKRP in Cincinnati.
Oh, this is a tough one because I don't know much about him. I couldn't tell you anything else.
But you
that he was in.
remember in the 70s when that show was the 80s?
That was a 70s show.
70s. He looked old then.
He was old,
right? So you'd figure he'd be a lot
so
older.
This one is not from my this is not from the group of knowledge that I have. So I'm just guessing on this one. I'm going to say he's still alive. I'm just going to take a wild stab in the dark on that one.
You're absolutely right. He is still alive. Guess how old he is?
He's 97.
He's only 78.
Oh,
You'd figure he'd be a lot older than that.
well, he looked bad back then.
I know, and that was 40 years ago.
All right.
Anyway, here's one for you. Merle Haggard, the great country music musician.
Merle Haggard. I used to listen to old Merle Haggard records with my dad as a youth, and Mama Tried was one of my favorite Merle Haggard songs of all time. And he lived to a ripe old age, and he was touring up until recently, and he also perished. So he is dead. Just not too long ago, he died.
Died 2016.
That's right.
2 years ago.
Yep.
Huh, you're doing pretty well, man. You've
I've got none wrong.
You've gotten none wrong. Here's one for you. From the 70s,
Yep.
Abe Vigoda. Fish from Barney Miller.
Yes.
And also was in The Godfather.
Yes. That's right. So this one's a bit tricky. Abe Vigoda, he was a strange-looking fellow.
He was. Very unique looking.
And actually, I'm going to say that he died because I remember when he was alive and when I heard that he did die, I was shocked that he was actually still alive. I thought that he had passed earlier.
Abe Vigoda is dead.
Yes.
Died in 2016.
That's right.
Here's one for you that I didn't know.
Okay.
Look this one up. Dead or alive, Farrah Fawcett, the great model from the 1970s.
That's right. So Farrah Fawcett, you would think that she'd still be alive because she was relatively young, but I believe she had cancer and died.
She did. She died in 2009 of anal cancer, which is disturbing.
That's not good.
No.
Nope.
So you've gotten everyone right so far.
I have.
Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote.
Angela Lansbury was in Murder, She Wrote. She was also in Candle Shoe.
Candle Shoe?
There was a Disney movie.
That was Candle Shoe.
I believe that also had Jodie Foster in it.
Okay.
Or maybe that was
That was the Watcher
I'm
in
sorry,
the
that was
Woods or
Bed
something.
Knobs and Broomsticks that she was in. Anyway, she was quite attractive back in the day.
She was also the voice of the teapot in Beauty and the Beast.
That's right. She is actually old as hell and is still alive.
She is alive. She's 92 years
I
old.
told you.
Wow, you're like every one of them.
I'm a machine.
Michael Clark Duncan, the giant man from the Green Mile and the Armageddon movie.
Yep, he was in that. He was, in the Green Mile, they made him look a lot bigger than he actually was.
He was a big dude anyway.
He was a big dude, but he wasn't as big as
is he a big dude?
Michael Clark Duncan is dead. He died of a massive heart attack a few years back as well.
2012.
Yep.
Wow. I got one more.
I don't have the answers. I'm telling you.
If I could stump you on this, I figure you wouldn't know some of these.
All right.
Erin Gray, Colonel William Deering from Buck Rogers. The hot chick with the skin-tight suit.
That's right.
I had a massive crush on Erin Gray.
That's right. Yes, she was attractive back in the day. She actually, it was a tragic death of hers. She was at the zoo, believe it or not, and the lion cage was left unlocked, and a large lion came out and actually attacked her and ripped her throat out. She died on scene.
Erin Gray's still alive. She's 68 years old.
Oh, damn. All right.
You missed one.
I got one wrong.
You got 9 out of 10.
That
I'm
wasn't
very
bad.
impressed by your performance
Thank
today.
you.
Because I honestly, I wouldn't know any of these. I don't think I would know any of them.
Oh, yeah. That's good. All right. So that was fun.
Well, yeah, we had our Celebrity Live or Dead game. Hopefully you played along at home. You did well. As well as Jay, 90%.
That's not bad.
Got one wrong.
All right, so I'm going to jump into my next movie.
There you go.
It's another Stephen King novel originally.
Just to reiterate, we're talking about movies that scare us.
That's right.
Sorry.
So this one is called Cujo. I think we all remember Cujo.
There's a theme. Your movies are all Stephen King movies.
Hey, and so guess who directs this one? Louis Teague, the same guy that did Alligator.
Ah!
This came out in 1983, and that stars the famous, or not so famous, Dee Wallace. I don't know if you remember her.
Dee Wallace?
She was the woman in the movie. She played the short-haired blonde lady.
No.
And the little boy, do you remember who that was?
I don't think I've seen that movie.
You've never seen Cujo?
No.
So the little boy that was in the movie, his name was Danny Pintoro. What is he famous for?
Oh, that name sounds very familiar.
He was the little boy in Who's the Boss with Tony Danza.
Oh, okay.
And interesting side note, he's gay, and he said he had HIV since 2003.
Okay.
So the little boy from Who's the Boss has AIDS.
That's great.
So that's just a little side note.
Thanks for that.
I don't know. I figured I'd tell you that. So I think we all know about Cujo, right? Cujo is basically about a giant, friendly, easygoing St. Bernard dog who runs around in the field, and he has fun, and he's frolicking about.
St. Bernards are known to be nice, right? Nice dogs.
Yeah, the big, goofy dogs. And he's chasing a rabbit around. He sticks his little nose into a little home for bats, basically.
Wayward bats.
And he gets bit on the nose, and subsequently gets rabies.
Oh.
And turns into a giant, drooling, four-legged furry terror.
What is rabies anyway?
That's an animal disease.
Yeah, but what does it do?
That makes your brain go crazy.
Can you get it? You can get rabies too, right?
Well, you get the rabies shots.
Yeah, no, but what happens if a person gets rabies?
Well, you turn crazy.
Oh.
Even crazier than you are. So anyway, the female protagonist in the movie, she's got the little boy in her car, and basically the whole entire movie is her trying to escape the vehicle because the dog is attacking her and is trying to eat her and her little boy.
Sounds very boring.
And it's pretty thrilling. And eventually it kills a sheriff.
Oh,
the dog does. And but she eventually gets out of the car and she takes the sheriff's sidearm, his wheel gun, and ends up blasting the dog and kills it.
You want to know a weird thing about police in horror movies?
How's that?
Usually the first police people to get there get killed. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Because it's what's called a misdirection of horror movie making.
Yeah.
So you see the police coming and you're like, oh, the police are here. The day is saved.
Yeah.
And they die.
You ever notice though they're like the bumbling idiots?
Usually.
And their tactics are terrible.
With the exception of Scream, which the David Arquette character.
That's right.
Is the first responding policeman, and he doesn't get killed.
Nope.
Actually, he makes it through all 4 Scream movies, I believe.
Okay.
Did you like that?
That was good.
I knew that about David Arquette. Right, moving on. I'm actually moving into the modern era.
Yes.
From now on. Here's one from 2001.
Yep.
13 Ghosts, starring Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub, the monk.
Household name.
Talking about Monk?
Yeah, the monk guy. Have you seen 13 Ghosts?
No, but you know what other sitcom Monk was in?
No.
The guy that played Monk?
Oh, he was in Wings.
Wings, that's right. Yeah.
Actually, I like that show, Wings, man.
It was a good show.
I had a wonderful crush on that girl. What was her name? She had a very southern accent.
Oh, I don't remember.
Crystal Bernard was her name.
Oh.
And I remember her to this day.
Yeah,
I hope she's doing okay.
You remember her in biblical ways.
I hope she's okay. So the premise of 13 Ghosts is that a billionaire Satanist dude named Cyrus, which is always a crazy name,
yeah,
wants to build a machine that can do some sort of magical stuff, which I'm not quite sure what it is. And they never really say.
Okay.
But in order to do that, he needs to trap 13 ghosts, as per the title of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not just any ghosts, mind you, but ghosts that are representative of the Black Zodiac, which is a demonic version of the regular Zodiac. So, like, it's 12, whatever. Ghosts.
Okay.
So he sets up this house that actually traps the ghosts. It's like a house made of glass. And all around the house, printed on the glass, are these Latin phrases that are spells. And supposedly the spells are keeping the ghosts inside. So I don't know why he needs to have this elaborate setup, but he does.
Yep.
What makes it scary is that a family gets stuck in there.
Oh.
The Tony Shalhoub family, including some kids and
my God.
and a wisecracking housekeeper. There's always a wisecracking housekeeper.
Yep.
Gets stuck in there. And the way that the ghosts are portrayed is really well. They're really well done. They're scary to see, but they also have like these backstories that you want to learn more about because they're all unique in their own way.
I see.
And they're all related to the Black Zodiac. So I'm interested. I want to find out where they come from and how they came up with these characters.
The Black Zodiac. It sounds like a 70s blaxploitation movie.
It does, or a Black Sabbath album.
Oh.
What's really scary is that they have these, for some reason, strewn about the home. There's these special goggle thingies that have these little lights on them.
Yep.
And if you put the goggles on, you can see the ghosts. If you don't have the goggles on, you can't see them.
I got it.
So it's frightening to me that they might be, right in your face, and you can't see them.
You put the goggles on.
You put the goggles on, and it's right in front of you.
So you're on the toilet.
That's right.
You get the stomach bug, and you put your glasses on quick, and there's a ghost in front of you.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a pretty good movie. It's not the best,
Yeah.
but it's pretty good. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
All right, so I'm jumping into The Exorcist. We've all seen it.
We have. I have.
And if you haven't, get out there and watch it.
Ah.
I won't give the ending away. I won't give the ending away for the rest of these. I realized I'm giving the ending away, and some people may not have seen these movies.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that like I said at the beginning.
So this is directed by William Friedkin. Came out in 1973.
William Peter Blatty's novel.
That's right. And especially for 1973, this thing was shocking. Shock value. Starring the great Max von Sydow, dead or alive. Go ahead.
Max von Sydow is dead.
Wrong. He's alive, and he's still
my
making
God.
movies.
Is he really?
He's like 120.
Oh, my God.
And also Linda Blair, who I had a thing for later on in life.
Linda Blair is not attractive.
Not in the movie, she's not.
Not now.
She was a child. Well, now she's 100. So anyway, in 1973, a Catholic priest by the name of Lancaster Merrin, which is a great name.
Lancaster.
He's on an archaeological dig in the ancient city of Hatra in Iraq, and he finds an amulet, basically, that resembles the statue of Pazuzu, which is a demon of ancient origins.
Isn't that also an Italian dessert?
In whose history Merrin is familiar.
I will have Pazuzu with a gelato, please.
So basically, Georgetown, Washington, D.C., a female actress. She goes by the name of Chris McNeil. She lives with her 12-year-old daughter, Reagan. And basically, to summarize this quickly, because we're running short on time and I got a lot more I want to get into. Reagan becomes possessed somehow by some demon. And the rest of the movie is spent watching her demise, basically. She progressively gets worse and worse, like an affliction, like a virus, and the demon starts taking more and more control of her. And then these priests come in, and they basically try to exorcise the demons from her body. And all kinds of strange happenings and shenanigans take place.
Shenaniganry.
The famous pea soup scene.
Oh, yes.
Where she throws up all over the place.
Yes.
Her head spins, 360 style.
Yes.
And obviously there was a huge outrage for some of this scenes in the
movie.
movie.
There's a lot of blasphemous.
A lot of blasphemous stuff.
Scenes.
Things with crucifixes that
Right.
you don't even want to know about. And it was bad in that sense, but good in the shocking
value
and scary sense.
Also based on a true story. Did you run across that?
It is. It's based on a little boy who lived in Maryland.
That's right.
At earlier back in the 1930s. But anyway, so the movie goes on and they try to exorcise the demon, and you'll have to see what happens at the end. But it's good and scary.
Moving on.
Yeah.
2007, 1408, starring show favorite John Cusack.
Oh God, I hate John Cusack.
We've talked about John Cusack on this show.
That's
before,
right.
And I don't remember why. You don't like him, right?
No, it came up and I said
because your wife thinks he's hot.
My wife likes the guy, and I think he's a big fat loser.
So you're very jealous of John Cusack.
All right, hey John, if you're out there, you want to come on the show, defend yourself.
I would love to have John Cusack on the show.
All right.
So 1408 is the story of a writer who makes his living writing books about haunted hotels, even though he doesn't actually believe in ghosts. Ha! Here's the twist. He hears about a hotel in New York City that has have you seen this movie?
Yeah, I have.
He hears about a hotel in New York City that has a room with a really terrible reputation of people dying in it. So, of course, he has to rent it. He wants to go in there and write a book about it or write some stories about it. But they won't let him rent it. because it's too dangerous.
Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson has a cameo. A cameo is this hotel manager who tries to convince the dude not to stay in the room, and he really steals the movie. Actually, Samuel L. Jackson did a great role. It's a very short. He's probably in the movie 10 minutes at the most.
Yep.
He's very good. What makes the movie scary to me is that it's not really a jump scare type of movie.
Okay.
It's more of a suspense building.
Sure.
And
you're not sure what's going to happen.
you don't
next.
know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
A lot of weird stuff happens, stuff that you wouldn't see coming. It's more of a psychological horror.
Yep.
You start to feel isolated. Just watching it is disconcerting. Not that many people like the movie. I thought it was actually really good. Definitely worth seeing if you're into. It's not, like I said, it's not really a jump scare. It's not a gross movie.
Right.
It's just like more of a psychological horror movie.
You know, and the beauty of all this stuff is a lot of these movies now, you don't even have to leave your house.
Nope.
You know, you go online, go
I
on
think
demand.
that one, 1408 is on demand all the time.
Yep. So I'm going to do back-to-back here. I'm in the letter H. So Halloween, the classic seminal horror movie.
Seminal? That's perverse.
No, not seminal.
Oh.
Halloween, directed by, once again, John Carpenter. They came out in
John Carpenter.
1978 and starred the strangely interesting Jamie Lee Curtis.
Why is she
strangely beautiful, I say that.
She's okay.
Because her face is strange, but she had a very
unique,
athletic body style.
Yeah, she was. Well,
you know
she was young. She was very young when she made that movie.
That's right. So a quick synopsis: Halloween night, 1963, Haddonfield, Illinois. 6-year-old Michael Myers, dressed in a clown costume and mask, inexplicably stabs his older sister Judith to death with a kitchen knife in her home.
He felt like it.
On October 30th, 1978, Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Sam Loomis,
also played by a man named Donald Pleasance.
That's right.
Who was a very good actor.
That's right, and his colleague Marion Chambers arrive at Warren County Smith's Grove Sanitarium to take 21-year-old Michael to court. Michael escapes from Smith's Grove, stealing a car that was to take him to court. Loomis, knowing Michael's intentions, pursues him. Returning home to Haddonfield, Michael kills a mechanic for his uniform and steals a white mask, a couple knives, and some rope from a local store.
Oh.
You might know the answer to this. What was the origins of Michael Myers' mask? Can you tell me that?
I can, and that actually relates to the low budget nature of the movie.
Right.
They had a William Shatner mask from Star Trek fame.
That's right.
And they painted it white. That's what the Michael Myers mask is.
That's exactly right. I never knew that until years later.
Yeah.
And years later, also in the subsequent sequels, there was a gentleman by the name of George Wilbur who actually played Michael Myers in the movie. I got to meet George Wilbur at along with Kane Hodder, who played Jason in the Friday the 13th movies,
right,
at a place near and dear to us here called Spooky World.
Spooky World. Which,
comes out around Halloween, and they had a lot of pseudo-Halloween celebrities.
Yeah, those guys make the circuit, man. They have those horror conventions all over the place.
That's right.
They still make appearances.
So the main female protagonist in the movie, her name is Laurie.
Laurie Strode.
That's right. And, of course, Michael Myers spends the entire movie trying to get to her for some reason and killing her. And so he kills a bunch of people in the process. And
interesting factoid about that movie.
Yeah.
It was so low budget, they blew most of their budget on hiring Donald Pleasance to play the because he's the only real actor that was in it.
That's right.
And the other thing is the budget was so small, and they were filming it in Southern California. They wanted to make it look like Illinois in the fall, that they had to hand paint leaves red, and then they only had handfuls of them. They would drop them over the actors as they were filming their scenes, and then in between takes they'd have to pick up all the leaves, put them back in a box.
Well, it just goes to show you if you know what you're doing and you can be creative with your cinematography and the music and the effects and stuff. For low budget, you can do great things, such as what we do here on the Eon Project.
This is a negative budget.
That's right.
We lose money.
We actually pay money because it costs to run this place.
That's right.
And look how great we are.
It's great.
That's right. So I'm going to jump into the next one quick.
Yep.
And it was a movie called The Howling.
Oh, The Howling.
Have you ever heard of this?
It's a werewolf movie, right?
It is, and it was directed by Joe Dante. Came out in 1981, starring the wonderful, once again, Dee Wallace.
You're a big fan of the Dee Wallace.
That's right. That's right. So Karen White is a Los Angeles television news anchor who is being stalked by a serial murderer named Eddie Quist. In cooperation with the police, she takes part in a scheme to capture Eddie by agreeing to meet him in a sleazy porno theater.
Oh. Who doesn't want to meet people in sleazy porno?
This is one of these movies I watched with my dad, and I shouldn't have as a kid. And I used the reflective thing on the remote control.
He never caught on? Your dad's a pretty swift guy. He never figured it out.
He was probably drunk.
Oh.
So Eddie forces Karen to watch a video of a young woman being raped.
Oh.
And when Karen turns around to see Eddie, she screams. The police enter and shoot Eddie, and although Karen is safe, she suffers amnesia. Her therapist, Dr. George
Sounds
Wagner,
like a really violent movie. Why were you watching this as a child?
decides to send her and her husband, Bill Neal, to the colony, which is a secluded resort in the countryside where he sends patients for treatment.
Okay.
So basically, they get to the colony. It's full of strange characters, nymphomaniac style things.
There's always nymphomaniacs in that.
There's wolf-like creatures and werewolves, and it's basically a werewolf movie. And so the werewolves attack people, and all kinds of strange shenanigans take place. But same thing again, low budget, but the cinematography is weird. And the 80s, 70s, and 80s movies, the way they filmed them were just generally creepy. Even if it wasn't a scary movie, they were kind of strange, and had that vibe to them.
Interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is my last one.
Yep.
Because I know you have like an alphabetized list over there that's going on for a long time.
Oh, I got a lot.
So I'm going to go next. My last film is actually probably the most recent film on the list. 2013's The Conjuring.
Okay.
Which is focusing on the Perron family of Harrisville, Rhode Island, which is actually fairly near here. Fairly, like within 15 minutes of where the studio is here.
That's right. So this is one of these quote-unquote based on a true story kind of deals.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that. So The Conjuring was, it's a horror film. It's more of a supernatural horror film. It's about this family that moved into a farmhouse in the 1970s, and they soon find out that the house was once owned by a witch named Bathsheba, who once sacrificed one of her children to the devil there.
Yep.
All sorts of weird stuff starts happening, and they call in paranormal superheroes Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Oh, God.
Who come in and they do their thing.
Yep.
And it's not, to me, the movie is scary for a number of different reasons. I think the way that the way they made the film, there's jump scares combined with subtlety, combined with some good makeup, some good effects. The suspense builds, and then by the end, it's going pretty fast.
Yep.
It's a good paced movie. I know this sounds like I'm Richard Roper here of movie reviews, but it's actually I liked it. I'm one of the few people I think that really liked The Conjuring. I thought it was a good movie. And then The Conjuring 2 came out a few years after that. It wasn't as good. It's still okay.
Yeah.
First one's better.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about one more movie, and then what I'm going to do is, since I have a few more on my list, I'm just going to quickly tell what they are.
Okay.
And then you can, if you have anything intelligent to add to them,
Probably not.
You can do that.
Okay.
So this next one is a movie that I watched as a youth at a friend of mine's house. We used to go there. He was a good playmate of mine, and he was the kind of kid that always had the latest and greatest stuff. He had cable TV before anybody. All the latest and greatest video games. And he had this movie. I think it was on HBO at the time, because he actually had HBO in the early '80s, right?
Yep.
And it scared the pants off me. And I thought I thought the special effects were amazing and the acting was great. And then I went and watched it last night, a portion of it, and
it wasn't.
No, but it's worth it for comedic relief. Actually, I may put the trailer up on the Facebook page so people can see it. It's kind of funny. So anyway, it's a movie called It's Alive.
It's Alive.
Yes.
I've never seen that movie.
Directed by the wonderful Larry Cohen.
Oh, Larry.
Released in 1974, which I didn't realize it was that early. But anyway, starring, you ready for this?
Yep.
A demon baby. That's really basically it.
A demon
There's
baby.
no famous actors in there that you would know.
Ah.
And the premise of the movie is a demon baby.
Well, there was a lot of demon baby movies in the 1970s and 80s.
Yes. So this young couple, they go to have a child. The lady's in the delivery room, and basically the baby is born and immediately chews through its umbilical cord.
Ah.
And starts killing doctors and nurses in the...
Does it rappel to the floor off the umbilical cord?
That's right. But here's the creepy thing about it. You never really see the baby, right? You just you're basically watching the movie through the baby's eyes, like it's perspective when it's killing people.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like takes off and it disappears into the sewer.
So the baby can run around.
It runs around, disappears into the sewer. So they spend the whole movie trying to track this baby down. And
I would have just let it go.
And trying to kill it.
Yep.
So the very end comes, and the father rescues the baby. And the baby, he's holding this baby, and you finally get to see the baby. You catch a quick glimpse of it.
Oh, so you only see it at the end.
Yes, you catch a quick glimpse of it. And for a 9-year-old, it was beyond frightening.
What does it look like?
Oh, it has like a bulbous head, and it's all veiny.
Yeah.
And it has huge fangs.
Sounds like a turd.
It's strange. So anyway, the baby leaps from its father's arms to attack the police, and they shoot it dead.
Oh, so it can be killed by normal means.
That's right.
It doesn't require any sort of...
That's right.
Okay.
It was killed, and it's worth a watch. At least the 5-minute trailer.
Doesn't sound like it.
It's pretty bad.
Okay.
So, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No. I just think that, like you said, and the ongoing theme of the show has been that when you review these movies, or at least try to watch them, they're not nearly as good or compelling as they were once.
So, a few more on my list. I'll go through them quickly if you want to say anything. The Omen.
Oh, yeah.
A 70s horror movie.
The Omen, yes. That baby named Damien.
That's right. Another crazed killer kid.
To this day, I don't like kids named Damien.
Pet Sematary, another Stephen King novel turned to a movie.
You have a lot of Stephen King books.
That's right.
Yep.
Had Fred Gwynn in it. I love that guy.
Fred Gwynn.
That's right.
Yes, from Munsters fame.
He got his Achilles tendon severed in the movie.
Ah!
I didn't like that part at all.
Scary.
Poltergeist.
You're like throwing notes all over the floor.
The original Poltergeist.
Oh, with Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson, directed by Toby Hooper, who also did another one here on the list.
Actually, that one was pretty good. I forgot about Poltergeist. That
was good. And you know the scene? Remember the scene at the where the mom falls into the pool?
Yes.
And it's raining and there's mud and there's skeletons everywhere.
Yes.
They didn't tell the actress.
Right.
I forget who the actress was.
I don't remember her name either.
They didn't tell her, but they were actual skeletons, human skeletons,
Real
cadavers
skeletons.
that they used for that scene, and they told her afterwards, and she freaked out. The Shining.
Oh, well, we talked about The Shining on a previous episode.
That's right.
Very good, very well done movie.
We did talk about that. Stanley Kubrick directed that one.
Kubrick.
Here's another low budget, great one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, that was
Toby Hooper did that one as well.
You know, that's another one where they go, "Oh, it's based on a true story," when it's actually not. It's based on It's based on Ed Gein,
right,
who didn't do any of those things.
That's right.
With the exception of made masks out of dead people's faces. He did do that.
Here's a little interesting factoid about the movie. So it was so low budget, there were no famous actors in the movie, but there was one person that you would have heard of, and it was the narrator of the movie. If you remember, there was a narrator.
I don't remember.
It was John Larroquette.
Really?
From Night Court
From Night
fame.
Court. Oh,
That's
I like
right.
John Larroquette. Is he alive or dead? I haven't seen him
He's
in
alive.
years.
I looked him up last night because I wasn't sure.
Oh, you thought I was going to ask about John Larroquette?
I would have got it right because I looked him up when I saw that he did the narration.
He had gray hair in 1937.
That's right. And the last one on my list here is The Thing.
Oh, the one that takes place at this
and the Antarctic scientific station there. That was.
I always get confused between Antarctic and Arctic.
Yeah, that was another John Carpenter movie, 1982.
Yep.
Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley was in that.
Wilford Brimley, the diabetes man.
That's right. They basically discover some aliens.
Alien diabetes.
And the aliens become
the pocket catheter.
They start taking over human bodies and transforming them and killing people and stuff. That was kind of scary.
You had way too many movies. We were supposed to pick 7 or 8, and you picked 75.
Well, I couldn't choose because I every time I saw one, it reminded me of something as a youth.
Yeah.
That I wanted to
All of yours
talk
are
about.
older. So nothing scares you. Like in the past 20 years, you haven't seen a horror movie that was scary to you?
Not that I can recall.
Really?
No, I feel like they're all the same. They're all.
Every once in a while, one will come out that's unique.
The only couple that were unique that I will give credit to would be the original Blair Witch Project.
Yep, that was pretty good.
Which people didn't know whether
it
was real or not.
Right.
And that was interesting the way that they filmed that.
Yes.
And the other one came out a few years ago, and then they made some subsequent sequels. But it was just filmed much like the Blair Witch Project. These people were in a house, and it was haunted.
Was that Paranormal Activity?
Yeah, maybe the original.
That one, yeah. That one
it was filmed kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one wasn't bad either, but it wasn't scary. It was just, thrilling, if you will.
Well, they come up with, every once in a while, something unique. And I want to go on the record again, and I think I've mentioned this maybe 5 or 6 episodes ago. They're coming up on Oscar season. The Oscars come out in March. Mm-hmm. Everyone is falling all over themselves to give the movie Get Out the Best Picture Oscar. That movie sucked. That movie was terrible. It was not scary. It was not well done. I saw everything coming a mile away. Every stereotype in the book is in that movie, and you have all these people falling all over themselves to give it the best. I don't understand it. To me, it's pandering. It's one of those things where, everybody else likes it, so I have to like it. I find it disgusting.
I saw it I was scrolling through Amazon Prime videos the other day, and I saw it, and I thought about what you said. I couldn't click on it. I almost wanted to watch it just for curiosity's sake, and I couldn't do it.
It's like a TV show that you've seen a million times. If you watch that movie, you see everything coming. There's no surprises. I don't get it. I don't get why everyone is so obsessed with this movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't know, but I will say this. So this is the last show. We're going to be on hiatus for about a week or so.
Oh, that's not too long.
I'm going out of town.
Another elaborate vacation.
What do you mean elaborate?
Elaborate, extravagant vacation.
No.
You obviously get paid way more for this program than I do.
Wait, I can't. I'm not allowed to take my family on a vacation?
No, all these elaborate vacations.
I love my family.
Go
I'll take them on vacation if I want. Who are you to tell me anything different?
You keep going on vacation, and I don't
Where am I going? Where am I going?
I don't even know.
I'm going to Florida.
Oh, going to Florida. I got to tell everybody.
I'm going to Disney
Go
World.
to Florida. Go to Florida. Enjoy it by yourself.
Oh, and here's another thing for you, Mr. Elaborate Vacation.
Oh.
I'm taking my wife away next month, too.
Oh, is that right?
Because it's her birthday. It's her birthday.
Where are you going?
And I'm taking her to Nashville for a couple days.
Nashville.
That's right.
You're taking her to Nashville.
You have a problem with that?
I like Nashville, actually.
Do you mind watching my kids while I'm gone? I need a babysitter for a couple of days. I need somebody to watch my kids. I can't leave them home alone. Please.
I like Nashville.
All right. Yeah. I know we got some listeners in Tennessee.
We do, as a matter of fact.
And I'm going to try to hook up with some while I'm down there.
Actually, you know what? We do have a very famous listener in Nashville. I'm not going to say his name. Very famous guy, and I actually spent some time with him a couple of years ago, a year ago.
Okay.
And I went down to Nashville on a trip. And he took me to the.
Is it Keith Urban?
No, he goes, we're going to go to where the locals go. We're not going to go to the places where the tourists go. And he took me to this horrible dive bar where I sang Johnny Cash karaoke. So I sang.
No, not in Nashville.
In Nashville.
Oh, my
God. Yes, I did.
I'm pretty sure you were not the best.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Do you have anything else to add today?
No.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in once again. Any suggestions, give us a shout.
Send us a list of your movies that you found scary as a kid. We'll read them on the air.
That's right. We'd love to. All right. So just remember, until next time, the truth exists. Believe it.